Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another video. This one is titled the European video, where we're focusing on Shelbourne and St Patrick's Athletic at this minute in time in Europe. Obviously Shamrock Rovers are through to the next round of the Conference League, so they'll come into focus later on. Speak about the games. I was at both games at Tolka Park and Richmond Park last week, so I'm going to speak about those games and then obviously look ahead to the games this week. Both teams obviously have slender leads going into the second leg, so good results, but a lot to do still going into the second legs. Now on Wednesday, matchday vlogs for both of these. If you haven't checked them out, check them out for both games. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That would be fantastic. Thank you very much for those who have. So Tolka Park, it did finish Shelbourne 1, Linfield 0. And as I said, I was at this game, and Mipo Adebekko's goal on 58 minutes was enough to give the League of Ireland champions a 1-0 win over the Irish League champions. And Shells came out flying out of the blocks in this one, I thought, to be honest. They created some opportunities. There was a shot cleared off the line, another one hit the post. And they were playing with a lot of tempo in that opening half, to be fair. They had 14 shots overall in the game, whereas Linfield had 2, 5 in target for Shells. So they fully deserved to win the game. They probably feel like they could have done with a second in their own heads. And maybe a second would have been pretty much deserved. They did create chances, as I said. Harry Wood was excellent, I thought, in the game. He's been allowed, though, license. I often think when he played under Duff, he was stuck to a side or to a wing. But he's been allowed license in the last few weeks under Joe O'Brien in particular, and suits him. Suits him. He can pick up pockets, driving at opposition. He can appear on the right and appear on the left. He did that in this game. I thought Cameron Ledwidge was fantastic. I gave him my personal man of the match, to be honest with you, in the matchday vlog. I thought he was really, really good. Very solid defensively, drove out with the ball very well and was a threat actually going forward. But Shells played well, but I thought they could have played better. Linfield looked flat, to be honest with you, in the game. They didn't really create much at all. Their best chance came when a bit of a mix-up at the back, and Kearns clears or hits off one of the Linfield players, and ricochets out, luckily from a Shelbourne point of view, for a goal kick. So that was the only real threat as such, and it was Shelbourne who basically kicked themselves in the foot, really, there, to be honest. But Shells, it's funny, Meepo, I thought, had a poor game overall. To be honest, he ends up being match winner. I don't think his movement was great, particularly in the first half. You're looking for a bit more from him, movement-wise. Okay, sometimes strikers aren't getting the service, but even apart from that, a bit of movement, he wasn't really offering it. But Sean Boyd's inclusion was huge. About a minute or two before they went to 2 up front. It meant that Meepo, I suppose, had someone to bounce off, literally, and link up with. And Boyd was very influential in that. And simply just was very good in link-up play. And he linked up with Meepo, and Meepo does well, and it's a tidy finish. And Shelbourne are 1-0 up. You feel maybe about 30 minutes left in the game, roughly. Can Shells go on and get second? A couple of chances. Boyd had a chance himself that just went wide. And I think Linfield overall will be relatively happy losing 1-0. They'll know they need to improve for the second leg, and it's going to be a massive game, isn't it? The second leg up in Belfast at Windsor Park, and the Linfield fans will hope to build some kind of a cauldron. The Shelbourne fans that go, I'm sure, will be very noisy as well. It's an interesting game. Linfield definitely have to improve hugely, I think, from the first leg. Can they do that in the space of a week? Being off season contributes to the flatness, I think, as well. And can they get up to levels? It's going to be difficult, but as I said, it's only 1-0. Shelbourne, from their point of view, I thought they played reasonably well in the first leg. Probably should have won maybe by 2 clear goals. But I think they can play better as well. And I don't think they'll be too worried about going up there, if I'm honest with you, in terms of atmospheres and in terms of being away from home. I still think they'll try, and the game plan be fairly similar. You could argue, should they start maybe Boyd and Meepo and go with the 2 up front? Potentially. That's something to think about for Joey O'Brien. But I think Shells will get through. I just think at this minute in time, the flatness in Linfield, and Shells obviously well into their season, have played well in the last few weeks as well, notably. I just think Shells will do enough, and I think they'll definitely score. I don't see Linfield definitely scoring 2 goals. In fact, I don't see them scoring 2 goals. So I think Chelsea win the game actually and go through, but I'd be surprised if they didn't go through, to be honest. Linfield 1, Shelbourne 2. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, Richmond Park in the Conference League qualifier, of course, the Shelbourne Linfield is the Champions League qualifier. It finished St Patrick's Athletic 1, Hegelman 0. And in a sense, it was similar to the Shells and Linfield game in the manner of Pats owned the ball and dominated the game pretty much, a bit like Shelbourne did at Tolka Park in their game against Linfield. And, you know, Pats had scored, what, one goal, wasn't it, in the last, I think now 6 games. And you felt like Keena's penalty comes in 79 minutes. It was hard actually to see the foul, but there was a foul before the foul, if that makes sense. And the referee's given it for the second foul, which is hard to see clearly. But there was a foul immediately before that should have been given in the same move, you know. Wasn't given, but eventually pointed to the spot. And Keena slots to make it 1-0. He came off the bench on 79 minutes to give Pats a 1-0 lead. But it did feel like up to that point, the only way Pats were going to score was a penalty. They completely dominated the game. I think they played with good tempo in the game, though. 60% of the ball as well, and the 20 shots with 8 on target, for example. Hegelman had 1 or 2 chances on the counter-attack. They were more of a threat than Linfield were, I would say, coming forward at times. And they did have 1 or 2 possible opportunities, let's say, in the counter-attack. That Linfield didn't offer against Shelbourne. But Pats, like if Pats had won this 3-0, you would have said it was a very good performance. So the performance was still, I thought, decent actually. But the goals didn't go with it, and they missed so many chances. Like Mason Mealy missed 3 gilt-edged chances, to be honest with you. The first chance is probably a wrong decision. I think he tries to, it's difficult to sort out your feet there, but it's a good chance. Maybe he could go for a diving header there potentially. But then he had a second chance in the first half as well, where he works the opening well, opens up the space, and just lashes it, hoping it'll go in rather than knowing what he was going to do. And that happened in the second half with another opportunity as well. And that seems to be the theme of Pats in the last few weeks in a lot of the games, that they're shooting, hoping it goes in, as opposed to, you know, having the player, the individual, basically, whoever the individual is in the certain areas, having a idea what they're actually trying to do. McClellan had a chance as well where he kind of did something similar. Like, they had a lot of chances, a lot of good opportunities. Even a cross hit the bar as well, the first half. But there's a rashness, there's a jitteriness, basically, around them in the final third. And yeah, look, that's going to happen when you're not scoring goals. You're literally not scoring goals. But when they are creating chances. And I'm sure they're talking about this and saying we need to be composed in these areas and, you know, just relax a little bit. Like, you play with tempo, but then just relax a little bit around the box. And then they get a lot of shots where they're blocked, where maybe they're not on, and instead of trying to shift it and make space and that. And it all got a bit panicky and jittery for them. And it did take a penalty. And I thought they were never going to score, to be honest with you. But the most important thing is they take a lead to Lithuania on Thursday. That game, by the way, is on at 5 o'clock as well. But that's the most important thing. And the chances after they scored as well. They dominated the game. They played well. The work rate was fine, like, you know, but just didn't score the goals that you would expected them to score. But that's all they're missing at the moment, in a sense. It's just that bit of composure in the final third. I do believe they're much better than Hegelman going into the second leg. Much better side. I believe the pitch is quite big out there too, so it might suit some of the wingers at Pats and that. I thought in this game, as I said, it was a good performance, pretty solid defensively, I felt overall. I thought Barry Bagley was brilliant in the middle of the park, very progressive for Pats, etc., etc. And I'd be a bit like Shells. I'd be surprised if Pats go out, to be honest with you. Now, I might pay for this, but I would be surprised. I could see them at the very least getting a draw over there. Hegelman could score. They are a bit more of a threat, I think, going forward. But if Pats can have a bit of composure, because I see Hegelman going at them a bit, they could hit them on the break. They like the Simon Perrin and players like that. They could get a couple of goals here. So my prediction for this game is Hegelman 0, St Patrick's 2, Pats to go through. So guys, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Check out the Premier Division as well video. That's out now as well. Thank you.